Hey everyone, my name is Tesa Aragones and I am the CMO at Discord. I went to school for entrepreneurial studies on the East Coast, and I studied entrepreneurial studies, but I also studied film and photography. So basically that means, I like to build things and I like to tell stories. So for me, marketing became a discipline that allows me to do both. And for me in my work, I'm always happiest when I can work on solving a consumer problem, move the world forward, and inspire with a great story. A breakthrough moment for me, I would have to say when I first landed at Nike, I landed Global Digital Group as part of brand marketing. But they asked me to create an experience that gave training products purpose. And if you ever work out, most people, they work out in their running shoes, but actually you want to train in training shoes. So I pitched creating something called Nike Training Club, and Nike Training Club actually was the first Nike iPhone app. And so for me, it takes that consumer insight of when you leave school and you're no longer on a team and you don't have a coach that tells you how to train, we would provide consumers with workouts, but also connect them to their friends on their phone so they can stay motivated. And for me, that was a breakthrough moment for me at Nike. It's still one of their most popular digital services. And for some of that work in digital innovation, I have 12 patents for my digital work for digital innovation at Nike. Discord actually was introduced to me by my nephew, Isaac. He's a senior now at University of Michigan. He's always been a very avid gamer. And he knew that I've always enjoyed working in digital products and digital services and building communities. And so that work is something that I've always enjoyed, from creating Nike Training Club all the way to resetting the brand for the creative community of Visco, which is a photo and video editing app. And so Discord is the kind of brand that I find so intriguing because it's youthful, like Visco, but it gets a lot of its brand energy from culture, like Nike. But most importantly for me is there's just a huge opportunity for the platform that excites me, and that's really around the mission, and that mission being around creating belonging. And one of the things I did when I landed at Discord is I sharpened, the mission statement and the vision statement. And if you think about a brand vision, our brand vision is, an inclusive world where no one feels like an outsider. And for me, it's always important to find work that aligns with my personal mission. And so that's one of the reasons why I was drawn to Discord. I'm really excited about a campaign that we launched for Discord, which is actually the largest campaign that the company has ever created. It's called Imagine a Place. And we started to introduce it in May in some of our digital advertising and that type of thing. But it just captures and brings to life all the things that Discord means to our different community members. And so, what started off as being something for people who like to play video games is now for study groups, people who do karaoke, book clubs, a lot of creators and sneakerheads like myself. But I'm going to break it down a little bit for you because Imagine a Place starts with imagine. And the reason why we started with that word is because it was actually inspired by some of the consumers that we were talking to when I was trying to get a better understanding about who it is that Discord serves. And, in talking to the community, they are always so creative in coming up with new and weird and awesome stories about, what they think Discord means to them. And then we said place, imagine a place. And we use that intentionally because that's how people tend to talk about Discord. They talk about it like a second home, or a place where they like to go to connect and hang out with people. And so Imagine a Place, we introduced in May, but today we launched our hero film. And it's a super fun video that will air from now to the end of the year. And what makes it unique is that everything from the concept to the talent that we used to the casting and the stories that are being told all come from some of our most avid users. And so some of the people that will be appearing in the hero campaign are Danny DeVito, Aquafina, Grimes, J Balvin, Bretman Rock, Marcus Brownlee, and Mr. Beast. And so it really is a amalgamation of all the things that make Discord very unique. And I think from a storytelling standpoint, for me, I love the relationship that Aquafina has with Danny DeVito. And the scenarios are actually, Aquafina explaining to Danny DeVito in a very fun and playful way, what Discord means to different people. And that could be like a pizza parlor with a bunch of sock puppets in a very creative way, or a tavern before people go out on a gaming quest with characters made out of claymation. And it's a really fun way for us to celebrate some of the consumers that cared enough to work with us on this film. And during the time that we were creating this, we had a server set up on Discord, and we would talk with the consumers that created and submitted the stories. And the director would talk to them one-on-one. And one story that inspired us in particular is a consumer who wrote in that's disabled and bedbound. And Discord is the way that they connect to the outside world. And the story was so strong and emotional that we wanted to really celebrate that consumer by sharing that story. So we made a whole scene. This particular user, they only speak in pirate. And so we created a small vignette of a pirate ship. And so when you see it all together, it is just super fun, very creative. And at the end of the film, we're actually going to celebrate all of the consumers that contributed to it by running them in the credits. And so as a young creative, I know that for me, it would have been amazing to have a credit in a film like this when I was younger. So I hope that they enjoy the work that we've done together. I'm really excited about, a comeback for emotional storytelling and then putting brand purpose back at the heart of messaging. I think this past year has shown that, people are really craving connection and community and more stories. And if marketers can create an emotional connection at each touch point and use these moments to reinforce what their brand stands for, to me, that's super fun. The best advice I ever got in my career, I started off right out of college at an advertising agency. And, I grew up in Detroit. And if you're from Detroit, most likely you work on, automotive, which I love. But automotive back in the day was very, male. I didn't see a lot of people around the table that looked like me, a woman, a minority, Asian, whatever it might be. And, I had taken a trip back to Boston where I went to school. And when I was flying back to Detroit, I saw this older woman, and she was sitting in a wheelchair. And she had on these super fresh white sneakers. And I just was like, I couldn't even take it. I walked over to her and I'm like, I really like your sneakers. And at that moment, she looked at me and said, oh, thank you. She goes, my name is Rosa. What is your name? And I said, well, my name is Tesa. So if you don't know, one of my heroes is Rosa Parks. And, she was an activist in Alabama in the 50s, but in the 60s, she moved up to Detroit to continue her work in my hometown. And I used to see her name all over the place. And having that opportunity to meet her at Logan Airport and fly back to Detroit, I was able to actually ask her what it was like on the bus back in Montgomery, Alabama. And it was one of those stories that I always heard growing up that, she was old and she was tired, but literally she was only in her 40s, so really not that old. And she said to me, Tessa, I wasn't that old and I wasn't that tired. The only tired I was tired of giving in. And it's not really advice, but it really made me think about how I go about my day, how I use my voice, how I want to show up as a leader, as a person of color, and as someone who now in my role could be someone to help, the future generations to help move the world forward. So, I think that I'm grateful for Rosa Parks and sharing that wisdom, and that wisdom stays with me, every day when I go to work. I've been so fortunate to work on some of my favorite brands. So, Nike, Volkswagen, Apple, they're iconic. They stay in brand character over time. But recently, especially over the past year or so, the brands that I really admire are the brands that have showed more compassion and humanity to do the right thing. And in doing so, really defining what they stand for, right? And so I'll give an example. Google using data to inform people about the pandemic, or DoorDash, using their service to support small businesses. I hope the work that I'm doing with my team at Discord, helps us to actually lean into inclusivity and reinforce that part of our vision, because whether it's, celebrating some of our Black creators on Discord, we did a music video to stop Asian hate with Wyclef Jean and MC Jin. And we also worked with a couple of drag queens from RuPaul Drag Race for Pride. So I think that, when you can have a connection between the marketing that you do and what you stand for, is really where the marketing sweet spot is. Yeah, I think like many of us, the pandemic has helped me to reflect a lot on connection. And when it comes to work, I'm actually one of those people that started my job at Discord during the pandemic. So, I'm a CMO that's never been to my office. I've never met my team. I've never been in the same room with the CEO. However, I feel super connected to my team without physically being with them during the lockdown. And, we use Discord for all of our meetings, but we also use it as a way to connect on other things. And so, it's cool to represent a brand that can foster that type of connection and environment, and then allow friendships to form over other passions. For me, that lesson about, belonging and, the power of community is really invaluable. I'm Tesa Aragones from Discord, and thanks for watching On Brand.